Hello, everyone. This is part 10 from Precedence Network. And this lecture is about giving an example for the contiguous activities versus the interruptible activities and how we put them in an actual problem. So the problem that you're looking at is from page 112, example 5.2. This is the example that is provided from the book, and we're going to use the contiguous and interruptible activities and compare them against each other and see how they work for the same problem. As you can see here, we have a project start and a project finish, right? I activity is the project finish. A with the duration of 10 has a start to finish, or excuse me, start to start relationship with C with a lag of 3. That means these both activities have to, let me bring in the numbers to you so you can see. No, let's work on this first, and then we can bring in the interruptible activity. So then you have the lag here. The reason I wanted to bring this up because we have here something kind of in U, which is the -1, and also the simultaneous start between C and D. This is something kind of in U also to you. So that tells you D can start a day minus the starting day of the C. This is kind of new to you. And here for E, which will be the focus, it has a start to start, which is also simultaneous, and also finish to finish. So A has to start with D, but has to finish with I. So with that, let's look at the interruptible activity approach. So as you can see, the start date here of C, it's a 3, the early start, but the early start of D is 2. If we look at B, the early start is 0. That means D should be 0, but because the early start of C is larger, we take the larger, but because we have the negative value here, then we subtracted it from 1, and therefore we have 2. Right, so now you can see the sequence. The start date of 10 of A is 0 to 10. Then with the lag of a 3, C is a 3. With the duration of 4, it's 7. We talked about this already, it's 0. With duration of a 12, it's a 12. Then the early start of these 2, according to its duration, 20. Therefore, we have an early finish of 30. Then F is a 12, right, from the early finish, with the duration is a 22. And here for H, it depends on C, is dependent on C and D, but then we take the larger one, which is 30 over 7, so it's 30 with 9, then it's 39. Then for D here, for E, excuse me, is dependent on D, so but as far as the finish, because it has a finish to finish relationship, but doesn't have a start to start relationship, which means E early finish is 0 here. See, this is a new, right? You're in the middle of the project, you start with 0, but you have a duration of 14 days with an interval of 38 days. This is a huge. So E is one of the activities we've talked about. You can, if you're going to use the remedy approach with two factors, then either you can stretch this activity, the 14 days, within the 38 period, interval period, or we can, the first was stretch, I believe, right? We've talked about it. And the second is the splitting. So then we can split the activity as needed. Then we have G here, and the starting day of G, it's 22, which is the late start. And so that's E. And for G, yeah, we have the interval of 20, so it's at 42. Then for I, it take the largest, 42. It's either 39 or 42. We take the 42, that's the forward, then the backward is 54, 42, right? And then E, because we have finish to finish, then the late finish of E is 54, just like I, because E and I will finish both in the same time, subtracting the 14, it gives us 22. That's the latest start, which is also the early start of G, because they go together. And the same here is 42. The latest start, subtracting it from 20, then it's 22, and then you go back 22, right? And then you complete this. So what I wanted to focus here is on the E, because the E here is a critical. The zero is in U, and also the -2 and so forth. So that was the interruptible. What about the contiguous? The same exact thing, all it goes along. But here we have to wait for the activity to finish so you can start another activity. So as I said, everything is the same except the E. See here, for an E, your early start is at 24 and your finish is 38. Why is 38? Because the early finish of D is 30 with a lag of 8 is 38. Correct? Then you have a 24, which means G is a 24 instead of the previous one, which is a 22 here. Here is a 24. Then with the duration is 44. That changes actually the CPM of the entire schedule as opposed to the previous one, which was the project start B, F, G, and I. Here it became project start A, C, D, E, G, and I because of one activity. So it's pretty restricted activity here that you have to stick with which end up changing your critical path. So different ways to depict the logic. We have 3 scenarios here. I want you to pause the video and tell me if those make sense and are logical.